My name is Kerry Rivard. I'm a fruit and vegetable extension specialist at Kansas State University and also serve as the director of the Olathe Horticulture Center. We do a lot of tomato grafting around here. It's one of the fun activities that we have here at the research station. And today we want to talk about some modifications that we've made to our healing chamber in order to increase our grafting success, in case you want to do any grafting of your own or start a grafting business. Last year we grafted just over 14,000 plants, and I think this year we'll do about the same. So the overall process of growing a grafted tomato transplant takes about 7 weeks or so. During the time when they're growing in the greenhouse, one of the things we want to do is make sure that that crop is very uniform. So one of the things that we do here at the farm is basically go through a couple times a week and actually sort our trays and move them into the cool room if we need to slow some down, or leave them in the warm room if they need to speed up. Part of the reason we're able to do this is because we transplant the seedlings into the trays in the first place. The purpose for the healing chamber is basically to allow that scion tissue, or the top portion of the plant, to live until it's connected to the root system of the rootstock. So what we do is we basically put them into the chamber, we increase the humidity a great deal and reduce the light, especially in the first couple of days. And then slowly over time, we start to reintroduce light and expose them to indirect or filtered light in a shaded greenhouse. Over the years in the past, we've had issues with plants not healing or potentially growing adventitious roots, or more recently, a lot of issues with the plants becoming overly waterlogged and the soil becoming too moist and leading to things like rot and disease inside the healing chamber. Typically, we plan to account for an 80% grafting success rate. Last year, we had a lot of trouble hitting that number during certain batches, but this year, all of our batches have been 95% or better.
Hello, my name is Ben Bergert. I'm the operations manager for the Olathe Horticulture Research and Extension Center. I've been a part of helping to modify our growth chambers over the past couple of years, and we were just going to show you some of the improvements that we've made that have really helped us reach that 95% success rate. The healing chambers themselves are not complex to build or operate. We've made ours mostly out of scrap materials from here on the farm. We use plastic, Lexan, polycarbonate sheeting, PVC, and stainless steel. The chambers don't have to be large. You can make them as small as a few trays. We have relatively large chambers because our customers order a lot of plants. We have 4 chambers. We could have one giant room with perfect humidity and temperature and try to do all the plants at once, but we have to have a constant rotation. That way we can control individual customers' plants over the course of the full season. The basic design of the healing chambers is miniature high tunnels inside of a greenhouse. They are not heated on their own. They require heat from the greenhouse. At one end of each chamber, we have a cool mist humidifier. These are able to put out quite a bit of humidity, and we use a PVC pipe along the length of the chamber to distribute that humidity evenly. The basic idea is to make a chamber that's completely sealed off. For that reason, we have plastic on the bottom, on top of the tabletop benches, that prevents air from moving in and out, and we have the sheeting on top that allows us to open and close to both put plants in and vent and check the plants throughout the healing process. One of the biggest changes we've made in the past couple of years is the use of these humidistats. They have a sensor inside the chamber that both tells us temperature and humidity level inside the chamber. That allows us on a day-to-day basis to both increase and or decrease the humidity in the chamber in real time. We do want high humidity, but condensation on the leaves can lead to the rot and root problems that we see. One of the biggest additions this year was circulating fans. The circulating fans run constantly, and when the humidifiers turn off, they are actually able to remove the condensation from the plants and roots and use it to humidify the air. The greenhouse that we're in is specially built to reduce the amount of sunlight that comes in. We have shade cloth hanging above us, and we also put up foam board to prevent direct sunlight early in the season when the sun is low to the south.
We like to check on the plants at least 3 to 4 times a day when we're here regularly during the week, and at least 2 to 3 times a day on the weekends when there's nobody working here. We want to make sure they're not getting too hot, and our chambers have been running as high as 90 to 94 degrees even. We feel like that's a little warm for them. It'd be better in the 85 to 90 degree range, but on a sunny day it's difficult to keep them cool. We also want to check to make sure the humidity is where we set it and that the humidifiers are functioning properly and have water in them. Next, we want to take a close look at the plants. If there's one or two that's randomly wilting, maybe that's one that didn't get grafted very well, but if you're seeing entire trays or whole sections of the chamber that are wilting, then we know we have a problem that we need to deal with. Within the chamber itself, oftentimes there's small little microclimates that tend to form. And using the ventilation fan helps to keep air circulating, so that's less likely to happen. But we have found that oftentimes if you have like half of a tray wilting a little bit, you can rotate it or move it to another area of the chamber that might be a little bit better saturated with humidity. One thing that we've noticed is the plants that are up against the plastic on the edge of the chamber tend to be more likely to wilt, and that's oftentimes because maybe it's a little warmer there or they're having a little trouble getting access to that humidity. And then it doesn't hurt, especially if it's a sunny afternoon and it's getting warm inside that chamber, to actually open it up and billow it out a little bit and make sure you get some fresh air in there that can exchange with the plants. This year, our process in the healing chamber has been taking right around 6 days, depending on the variety in the batch. Up to days 3 or day 4, we want to keep the humidity really high. So we have our humidity controllers set between 92% and 96%. On day 3 or so, depending on how the plants are doing, we'll put it down to about 88% to 92%. So it's not quite so high, but still much higher than in the ambient greenhouse levels. Then somewhere around day 6 or day 7, we'll start the process of actually bringing them out of the chambers. And what we do is we turn the humidity controllers all the way down to 80% or even 70%, and then just keep a close eye on the plants to see if they're wilting. Obviously, if they're not healed yet, they're gonna wilt. And so that gives us cues that we need to turn the humidity back up. So once the healing process is done, we move the plants out of the healing chamber and usually keep them in a shaded greenhouse for 1 to 2 days, depending on how the plants look. Once that's done, we'll move them into a greenhouse with full sun and tend to lower the temperature to help slow the growth as well. Grafted plants have a tendency to stretch a little bit in the healing chamber, and so we're trying to avoid that once we get them out of there. About 2 weeks after the plants have come out of the healing chamber, we go through and clean them up. And what that means basically is we resort them into trays so that we have full trays of 50 plants, and we also remove the grafting clips at that time for reuse later. About a week after the clips are removed, then usually our customers come and pick up their plants and take them to their farm to be planted. Thanks for joining us today and learning a little bit about our tomato grafting process, and especially in the healing chamber. If you have any interest in grafting on your own or even starting a grafting business, please visit us at the Olathe Horticulture Research and Extension Center.